But the technology is not going away, right? So it's like, the internet is not going away, blockchain is not going away. So we will recover from this, and there will be more. In a decentralized industry, when one player goes down, it causes a lot of pain, but other players will come in very quickly and feel it. And those new players that feel it will be stronger ones, right? So there'll be more competition. So the market takes care. The market will heal. The market will heal itself.
Binance CEO CZ finally broke his silence after the FTX collapse and the fall from grace for Sam Bankman-Fried. At the 4th Indonesia FinTech Summit 2022, CZ addressed how it all went down with FTX and what he believes should be next for the crypto industry. From the outside, it seems that CZ's tweets and Binance's dumping of FTT token were the reason for FTX's downfall. But CZ clarified that FTX's troubles were already well underway before they came to the surface. And ironically enough, SBF told everyone that many of the crypto exchanges were insolvent and that there were hidden financials like the 2008 crisis. The only catch is that no one knew he was talking about his own crypto empire.
These are reminiscent, to some extent, of some of what you saw in 2008, where you basically have non-transparent systems. And, you have people who are putting on an amount of leverage that was not well understood. And, ultimately it came back to bite them.
CZ appeared to have a real concern for the crypto space, and he believes that what occurred will set the industry back a few years.
So with such a big player going down, I think we're seeing $30-40 billion of value that's in FTX valuation that was before that they raised that. Plus quite a few $1 billion of user funds that's kind of gone. So with this type of events happening, it's devastating for the industry. So a lot of consumer confidence is shaken, and I think basically we've been set back a few years. Now regulators rightfully will scrutinize this industry much harder, which is probably a good thing, to be honest. I think now, before, the regulations are much more focused on KYC and AML. I've always been saying, look, you got to focus on the exchange operations. So business models, proof of reserves, where the user funds. So I think we'll come into a lot more scrutiny on those fronts. But actually, that's good for the industry. So having that setback, short term is very painful for a lot of retail investors. That's on FTX, etc. But we feel that pain. But longer term, I think this is another wake-up call to say, hey, look, we're in a new industry, there's a lot of risks, and we need to learn how to deal with those risks and how to build a much healthier industry. So I think the last 3 days is just a revelation of problems. The problems were there way longer, right? So this problem wasn't created in the last 3 days. So basically, we have an exchange, FTX is misappropriating user funds. They were taking user funds to do other things. And I think the trigger was like a week ago. There was a CoinDesk article. And then my team says, well, hey, CZ, we still have this, we still have a lot of FTT coins. Like, what? Should we sell it? Sure, why not? So the next day, there was a big transaction reported by Where Alerts saying that like $580 million worth of FTT was transferred to Binance.com. And my team's like, CZ, this is our transfer. It's like, well, really, you sure? Yeah, he's sure. And should we be there was discussions in the community, and should we be transparent about it? It's like, yeah, sure, we should be transparent about it. And then he said, CZ, you should write a tweet because we don't what we'll call the interns. Our PR team says we don't really know how to write this particular one. This is quite sensitive. So I was actually just going out to meet two of my friends who actually also came to Indonesia now. I was on my way out to meet with them, and then so I just wrote a tweet in a few minutes. But I wanted to explain like how do we have this much, right? So we can't just have $580 million worth of FTT all of a sudden. We got it. We didn't buy it from secondary markets. We got it as a transaction of our exit, equity exit out of FTX a year and a half ago, which was publicly reported. So I said that, and then I didn't know my phone will blow up over the rest of the evening. So, and I also didn't know, the second day I said, look, I didn't know this is the, I think the word we used was the straw that broke the camel's back. And that's before Sam, SBF called me 24 hours later. I thought it was just causing a lot of waves in the Twitter, in the community. 24 hours later, Sam calls me and says, hey, CZ, can we talk? okay. And then he says, well, I thought he was going to do an OTC deal, right? I thought he was going to ask, hey, CZ, why don't we do an OTC deal? Then we can put all the negative comments out, then confidence is restored. I thought he wanted to do that. But instead, he just said, look, we have much bigger troubles. I said, look, we don't want users to be hurt, and we want to protect the users. So the deal, to be honest, I can't comment on any specifics on the deals, but from our perspective, the deal did not make sense from a number of fronts. From a financial perspective, is a big hole. From new users, FTX, we have very high overlap. We cover all the regions they cover, and they have much less users than us. From a technology or product perspective, I think we have a superior product. They don't have anything that we don't have. So our original intention was to let's save the users. But then the news of misappropriating user funds, and especially U.S. regulatory agencies' investigations, we're like, okay, we can't touch that anymore. So, and then we said, look, and then as soon as I understood we couldn't touch it anymore, I said, let's make that announcement as quickly as possible, because we don't want to do a slow no. If we're going to do a no, we do a quick no. That's one of my principles in business. So then this way we don't drag on for a long time, and then we also remove any uncertainty or doubt in the community, because as you can see, when the deal was going on, the deal was happening, crypto was dropping. Uncertainty is actually worse than negative news. So when the news is out, everybody knew, okay, this is where we are. So we said, look, let's announce it as quickly as possible. So we announced it. And then after we announced it, I've been trying to keep quiet to the extent possible. So I didn't appear on any TV interviews, etc. So as one of the largest players in the industry, we have to lead by example. So I think the number one thing we have to do is being much, much more transparent. So anything we can do to increase transparency, we need to do. So proof of reserves. Proof of reserves is going to take a couple of weeks, mainly due to the vendor being very busy. We're like, okay, let's do, but before that, let's publish all of our cold wallet addresses. They were pretty public before anyway, so we published yesterday 6 top coins, which covers actually 80-90% of the user funds. So now people can see on one page which addresses are the cold wallets. Anything that we can do to improve transparency. And I think we also want to educate regulators all around the world. How do you do audits on crypto exchanges? Not just KYC ML, which is important, but how do you check the cold wallets? How do you do user balance reconciliations? How do you check transaction logs? How do you use on-chain monitoring tools to do this? So all of these things we do internally. We do real-time reconciliations across multiple aspects so that we can try it. And if any balance goes off, we get alerted in real time. So should we make those kind of systems public? So I think all of these things we need to do as an industry, which actually on the long term, I think will make the industry much healthier. So all of these things needs to happen. I think regulators are definitely needed. I don't think our society is advanced enough to live in a world without rules. So once we have rules, then that's what regulations are. Somebody have to make some rules. So, but doesn't mean all the rules are good. It doesn't mean all the rules are bad. So good rules are good, bad rules are bad. The rules need to be sensible. If the rule says, hey, we're just going to ban crypto altogether in Indonesia, that's one type of rule. I think that's obviously going to be bad. If we say anything goes, that's also not so good in general. There will be a lot of scammers, a lot of guys doing business in a bad way and cause a lot of damage. So we need to find the balance. So it's not an easy task. So that's on the regulation side. And then on the crypto side, with people holding their own assets, be their own bank, I think eventually the technology will get there. But today, it's not easy. Today, technically, you can. The technology is there, but it's just not easy to use. It's not easy for an average person to say, hey, I'm going to save my private keys, have multiple copies of backups. So if I lose my computer, if I lose my hardware wallet, I can restore it. And if and worst case is, we all die. And so if I'm no longer around, how does my kids inherit it? Most people, with the tools today, we can do it, but it's just not very easy. 99% of people don't know how to do it. 99% of people probably do not even know how to securely encrypt a USB backup.